Hi everyone, my name is Michael King. I'm doing a guest spot for Val Govinder's YouTube channel. Welcome to the sixth part in this series on the new features in ES6. Today we're going to be learning about modules and destructuring. So on the screen at the moment we just have some code that's just using require. And this is the old way of using modules in JavaScript. So what this is doing is this is loading up the myModule.js file. And all that's got in there is just a export of the test string. So if we run this code at the moment, it's going to output test, which is what we would expect. So what some of you might be noticing is I'm running node modules.mjs. And the reason for this is the new modules in ES6 is an experimental feature in Node at the moment. So to use it, we need to use .mjs files and we need to use the flag experimental modules, which I'll show you in a moment. So let's start by rewriting this module so it's using the new features in ES6. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename our myModule.js file to myModule.mjs. And now I'm going to rewrite this import so that it's in the new ES6 syntax. So to do that, we just do import myModule and then from, which will be the package it's from, and in our case it's going to be myModule. And then we can remove this line at the top here and we'll save it. Now if we run this, it won't actually work because we've only updated one section. But I'll show you what flag you need to use to get this to run. So it's all we need to do is run node -- experimental modules and then modules.mjs. So if we run this, it won't work as we expect. And that's because the way that we export from a module has now changed. So let's open the myModule.mjs file, and this is what a export would look like in traditional JavaScript. All we need to do is write export default test, and then we'll remove the line at the top. So this should now work. Yes, it does. So we're getting a warning from Node at the moment just because the ESM module loader is experimental, but we can see we're getting the correct value underneath it. So what we're doing here is just exporting a single string from this module. So here we can use export default test. But what you might want to do is export multiple things from a module. In this case, you can use named exports instead of the default export. So to do this, we're going to just change this to do export const, because it's going to be a constant, and the name of whatever we want this to be accessed by. So in my case, I'm just going to call it myModule. Obviously, in real life, you'd use something a bit more descriptive, and we just need to change this to an equals. So we're going to export the constant myModule, which the value of which is going to be test. So if we run this, it won't actually work. And that's because in our code that was accessing this module, we now need to update this. Because we're not using destructuring here, it's trying to use the default export, but we've just removed the default export, and we're now using a named one. So we can use destructuring by putting this in braces. And what this is going to do now is it's going to look for the myModule property in the exports. And so this should actually work and it will find our variable. Yep, as expected, it works. And you can add as many of these as you want. So if you had another property in there on your module called test, you could just do myModule, test, and it will import them into this file. So this is just a really cool new feature in ES6. I think it makes it a bit easier to work with as well, especially coming from a more traditional programming background, because it makes it a bit more similar to other languages. So I hope you enjoyed this series. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you all again soon.